Boston there are people who are newly growing their followings. Can you give a quick breakdown on what you would do if you were restarting the Anabolic Aliens brand, what you would do differently? Like some of the early mistakes you made.
Lose the fucking ego. Post and post and post. Stop giving a fuck about what everyone else thinks. Provide value with your post. Don't just post a picture to have people look at you. Actually provide a message behind that so they can take it back with them and help benefit their own life. Because that's the whole point of following someone. They're offering you something that can help benefit them, whether it's comedy, whether it's education. No matter what it is, you need to provide value. So that's how you build a following. Stop thinking you're better than anyone. Use collaborations. Grow as a team. Like, you're never alone in social media, which is really cool. And if you think you are, you're limited.
Wise words from...
Oh God, what's going on? Where am I going? Dad?
Yes, my son. I am Deuce, the deer god.
I'm so confused. Who am I?
Derek. Your true name is Dercules.
Wait, what?
Yes. You are Dercules, the god of the forest. Season 5.
Hosted by your favorite podcast host, Big Bochi. You already know the deal, mother. What's up? Before we start, my name is Connor Holloway. I run the Golden Hours podcast and I run Golden Deer Productions. And the only thing I ask is if you are listening or you are watching, hey man, just share the podcast with a friend if you get any sort of value. If we do our job, you guys watch, it's like, hey, I learned something, or hey, I caught a laugh or two. Just share with a friend.
Hell yeah, you better.
And honestly, if you wanted to subscribe to the podcast, that'd be sick. But you don't have to. And also, before we start, we have a not new to the Golden Deer camp or to the show or even to Mike's camp, but a new live producer for the show. And I think this young man is going to be great moving forward because he's on the ball like a psycho. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, he kills it.
Okay. Introduce yourself.
What's up, everyone? You already know me. Surf Mike in the building. Excited to be here. Excited to be producing this episode. We got Connor. We got Anabolic Aliens. It's gonna be a good time.
So this is a slight clash of worlds for Mike because Mikey Bonkers, and I call Surf Mike Miggity or Surf Mike. Mikey Bonkers reached out to me like 2 months ago. He said, dude, I'm trying to form a team. And he said, I need someone who's on the ball, who's going to be on it. And I was like thinking of a bunch of people. Then I was like, wait, Miggity?
Surf Mike?
No. Not. I don't know who Surf Mike is anymore. That name might come back. But Miggity?
All right.
Really, Miggity?
What the fuck does miggity mean?
It's almost demeaning, but I like it.
Miggity. Okay, well, Surf Miggity. That dude is always on time. He's always early, and he always gets his job done. That's the type of guy you want to form a team with. And so I looped you guys on a chat, and then you guys been in your honeymoon phase ever since.
Hey, if he's a new producer for you, all I'm saying is he's still my employee too, so you better not take away time from me, bro.
You'll probably be doing cardio when we run episodes, so we'll be good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what have you been doing specifically for Mike's camp?
So right now I'm running the blog, which is soon to be dropping for Anabolic Aliens. I've got a couple blogs done, and that's been the main project as of right now.
That's for the website?
Yeah, so basically we're going to be having a whole blog section, which is going to be completely new for my website. It's going to be called The Signal, and Max is going to be writing a lot of the articles, basically transcribing my YouTube videos and Instagram content. So we're actually not really making new types of content. What we're doing is organizing old content and recycling it into new material that's organized so you can easily get more value from it.
So, okay. Mike's ready to go this episode. Let's go. Let's fucking go, dude. Before we move on, can you introduce yourself? You are no stranger to the GDP camp, and this is actually your third episode.
Let's go. Hi, I'm Mike Rosa. I own Anabolic Aliens, and basically my main social media is YouTube, but I'm on all the platforms, and I have my own website where we do custom training and all the good stuff for the good gains, and then I have my own workout app, Exerprise.
And we threw a party together.
We did.
Which was a blast. And so we've been taking kind of a business shift with the podcast recently. And so pretty much all we ever normally discuss is like how to grow business and how to try. So I was like, dude, obviously got to get Mikey Bonkers up here to rip it, because of kids our age, and I say kids loosely, you're probably one of the few of my friends who are solely focused on business. And I think it's going to be interesting hearing that, dude, 80% of your life now is business and 20% of it's fitness. Would you agree?
Yeah, it's definitely come to that point, but luckily both of them intertwine, so it's not like one's really taking away from the other.
Isn't that fire? Like you're living your business.
Dude, I love what I do too. That's even the better part.
Okay, so let's start. We're gonna do a little two-faceted episode today. We're gonna just do a brief rundown seasonally about a lean bulk, how to set one up, and then we're gonna transition into some business talk. Okay.
Lit.
All right. So, I've used some of Mike's calorie programs. We talked about this. I got really cut doing your microcycling. It's like fall. So if there are some corporate dudes out there who don't necessarily have the ability to get to the gym 5 days a week and really monitor their eating, how would you say effectively they can lean bulk? Because this is kind of the season where people start.
I mean, it doesn't really matter if you're going to the gym or working out at home, because the bulking aspect, people think bulking refers more to what they're doing in the gym, but it actually refers to what's going on in the kitchen. So it comes down to the numbers, and to actually gain size, gain mass, gain weight, you need to be in a caloric surplus. So you have to be following some sort of diet. It doesn't necessarily need to be a specific food diet, but mathematically speaking, you need to be at certain numbers in order to actually see growth. So you find your caloric maintenance, and then you make sure you're eating above that to actually gain. So for someone who's in the corporate world or working out at home, working out at the gym, wherever you're working out, it really comes down to the math behind your diet. And if you compensate a workout plan, a consistent workout plan, no matter how many days a week that is, if you're eating in that surplus, you will notice noticeable gain. And then the lean aspect, that's when it comes more into what exactly you're eating, and then what exactly you're doing into the gym. So that's more of the fine-tuned detail work, but the overall mass development, you need to be in that caloric surplus.
So I'm currently doing a bulk because I reached like very lean levels, right? And I wanted to gain like over the next like 6 months, I want to gain like 10 pounds lean mass. Mm-hmm. And so one thing I'm trying to figure out is, and I'll monitor it like a psycho, right? Do I incorporate exercise into my calorie expenditure? So let's say it's a rest day, but I still walk for an hour. Do I subtract like 250 to 300 calories from my calorie levels? You know what I'm saying?
This is actually a question I've been getting a lot lately, and I've never actually talked about this topic, and I don't really find any information about this topic, so I'm glad you actually brought that up. No, you don't ever. For me, what I do specifically and what I recommend, don't ever take into account how many calories you're burning through your exercises, through your cardio, whatever you're doing. Don't take that into account with a diet, because what we're doing with our diet, if you calculate your caloric maintenance correctly, you're going to always have an activity factor that plays into that equation. So that activity factor is taken into account the general estimation of how many calories you're going to be burning through your exercise in general. That's why we have that activity factor, and it's multiplied in the equation to get your calories. So if you're taking more calories out of that from your exercise or your cardio, you're being counterproductive with what you're already doing with the equation by multiplying that activity factor. So it's already taken care of. You just gotta have to.
What if you have a day where like you're extra active? Wouldn't you take that into account?
No, not necessarily. I mean, it comes out to a weekly average. Each day is going to vary unless you're doing the exact same thing every single day, which is very unlikely for everyone's lifestyle. But like, that's why it doesn't really make too much of a difference in the end. If some days you're more active, some days you're less active, and you take the total week value, it will even out in the end, because like I said, you already have that activity factor taken into account.
Does that make sense, Miggity?
I got a good question on that. They say like when Michael Phelps was training, he could eat like thousands upon thousands of
12,000 calories.
Yeah, because his resting rate of burning calories was so high, and potentially from his like activity level being so high.
Exactly.
So
when your activity level's high, when your activity level's high, you are already going to be naturally burning more calories. You have an increased metabolism, and you have an afterburn effect from the exercise you're doing. So if you're upping your intensity levels like that through your training, you more than likely have a specific like a specific purpose of getting really cut, getting really lean, or just really increasing your muscular endurance and cardiovascular system. But overall, like the reason he can eat that much is because his activity factor is so high. So in theory, if he's properly using the equation, he would have multiplied for that activity factor, making his base metabolic rate, like how many calories he'd be expending naturally, already significantly higher. So that technically would be already accounted for by multiplying with the correct value.
So can you give a quick baseline on how you can assess your calorie expenditure a day? There are calculators online you can use. You're gonna get one on Exerprise pretty soon.
Yeah, damn right you can. It's coming out, actually. We're already working on it. It's gonna be next level.
From what I'm familiar with, your calorie expenditure is normally your body weight times 15, right? It's roughly.
So
how much you weigh right now?
I'm like 185 right now.
So you burn like what, 3,000 calories or like 2,800 calories a day?
My maintenance is like right around 3,000, yeah, most often.
And so, yeah, so if you go on Google, you'll just look up, what is it, NEAT calculator?
So I'm a huge fan of a very simple website. It's like caloriecalculator.net or something like that. But I mean, there's literally specific equations that you can follow and be literally very exact and technical. I'm not going to say lazy, but I'd rather be a little more time efficient, and I just put it into an online calculator. I'm not a huge fan of the MyFitnessPal, what it like recommends for your calories. I like this website I just recommended, and I'll give you the link if you want to put it in there somewhere. But
will that give you your macro splits too?
No. So I do macro splits separately, and that's like a whole different ballgame. That's when we talk about that fine-tuned detail work. But for anyone who's just trying to bulk up, make sure, most importantly, don't even think about macros until you ensure that caloric surplus.
And when you assess a surplus, it should be a week-long surplus, correct? Because there are going to be some days where you eat maybe only like, you eat at maintenance or you eat 100 calories over maintenance. Then you'll have days where you eat like 500, 600 calories over maintenance.
I mean, like I said, it depends necessarily on the caloric cycling method you're doing, how many calories you're supposed to eat per week, how long you've already been doing that. But in general, it really does come down to that weekly average.
I heard scientifically, and again, I heard scientifically, so I don't have any real research on it, but I heard the maximum amount of mass you could gain in a month is like 2.5 pounds of lean mass. Is that true?
Dude, fuck the science. Like, everyone's so different. I really don't think you can put an exact number on it. I think
how much could you gain in a month, do you think?
I never have done an exact calculation like that, so I can't really say based off experience. But what I can say is if you're progressing consistently in the gym, like you're actually analyzing your progression, you will considerably keep noticing gains. So it really, like, if you get too crazy on the numbers, I feel like you can hold yourself back because you're going to keep changing shit around and not give your body time to actually build. Well,
my question is, if you can only gain 2.5 pounds a month, wouldn't you want to adjust your calories to that? Like, okay, I'm going to eat at this surplus because that's the most optimal amount of calories I can eat without gaining fat.
Not necessarily. I mean, there's so many different.
Does that make sense what I'm saying?
Yeah. So you're saying you shouldn't eat past a certain point because you can't literally gain more muscle mass than that. Correct?
You just be gaining fat.
Yeah, and I mean, like I said, I don't think you can be so strict on the numbers. I think one of the biggest misconceptions is that you're going to gain all this muscle mass so quickly, and realistically, muscle mass takes a lot of time to significantly build. But like when you gain muscle mass, when you gain size, you are going to gain body fat as well. It's impossible not to gain mass without gaining some body fat. You can definitely minimize it, which is what we're going to talk about. But like you can't, if you try to be very specific with how much you're going to allow yourself to gain, I feel like you could cause a limitation and fuck limits.
My question would be, how important is the fine tuning of like the actual numbers? Because like I'm also in a bulk right now, and when I try,
okay, miggity.
Hey, listen, it's low key. When I'm trying to bulk, I just eat like as much as I can, and I don't count. Should I be counting? Like, am I not?
Well, you going that Boach Bonnie bulk method or that Mikey Bonkers bulk
I'm
method?
at Surf Miggity bulking method right now. But.
Well, what I'm saying is Mike will eat tons of stuff. Like, he eats tons of shit. Me, I'm a little more anal about what I eat. But then again, he's the pro. I'm not.
Well, I mean, if you want, the more anal you are, the more results you'll get, obviously. But I'm a much more, I mean, In the sense, like, if you're going to be very specific with the numbers and really tailor exactly the micronutrient content along with the macronutrient content, you're going to get better results. But in my case, like, I find that makes the tedious process behind that takes away the mentality aspect for me. So it becomes really hard to sustain, and I'm all about making it sustainable. So I'd rather the slow forward road rather than up and down cycles.
Fair.
But regarding your question about do you actually need a track, my answer to that question is, if you want to actually monitor your progression, then you have to track, meaning you can just monitor weight, but if you're curious about your body fat, then you're going to have to monitor that. So if you want to actually build, first off, do you have any idea if you're actually in a surplus?
That's the thing. Probably not.
Bro, when I first started logging, I was mind blown with how little protein I was eating and how little calories I actually was eating, because I thought I was eating a shit ton. But when you eat clean especially, you're not eating nearly as much as you think you are. So you make sure you're in a surplus, and then I think you're going to surprise yourself that you're not eating enough.
Interesting.
Amen. Yeah, why? What were you eating back then? Like, what's a base meal for you on a bulk? Let's transition into that.
A base meal? I mean, so I always...
So just hypothetically, let's say Surf Miggity, you're bulking, right?
Yeah.
You want to get that clean bulk in. That lean bulk, but that clean bulk.
Yeah.
What are you going to say, yo, this should be a base meal for you?
So if you're bulking, you definitely want to have good amount of carbs in you. You need to add that size, have that energy. I would say, I mean... Are we talking like a macro split or specific food? Just like simplify for somebody. Like, all right, bro, if you just eat this every meal, then you're likely gonna, and you're in a surplus, you're likely gonna make gains. Yeah, I mean, so like I'd say honestly 2 cups of white rice. Now you want white rice actually instead of brown rice because you're gonna be utilizing the it's a higher quick glycemic index, so it's actually going to help you utilize that energy source from the carbs faster than the brown rice would. Right after that workout. Yep. Well, actually all day long, because you want those carbs throughout your body and you're building all day. You're trying to gain, so that's the time we actually want to utilize white rice. Oh, white rice is faster glycemic than brown rice? It's so I don't want to say anything wrong, but I was actually talking to my bodybuilding friend Troy at the Olympia, and he's actually the one who gave me this tip. And that's why I said I don't want to say anything wrong, because I haven't done enough research on it myself. But he was telling me like one of the biggest tricks his trainer told him is always have white rice when you're bulking, because it helps your body utilize that energy source more optimally. Yeah. And what I heard similar to that is Rice Krispie treats are high glycemic too, and it's like the same ingredient, or like a rice cake. Something about white rice. But then I guess back to your question, so like 2 cups of white rice, I always recommend having a veggie source in there, because you just want to make sure you're getting your micronutrient content. And that fiber. Yeah. And then, I mean, protein, you want to be maximizing your protein. And this is where I fell so short before I actually logged. Like, you want to have at least like 40 to 60 grams per meal. And when you're not really thinking about it or logging your protein content, I often found myself having like 20 to 25. And because like more protein you eat, more satiated you're going to be, more full you're going to get. So you kind of have to understand that you got to force yourself sometimes to eat to grow. And the protein intake is going to help you maximize the process, while building that lean muscle mass while helping you minimize that fat gain. All right, what's a good protein source? Lean chicken breast, lean turkey, lean steak, like anything lean, honestly, so you can lower the fat amount, but make sure you maximize the protein content. And also a great source for a quick protein, no fat, low carb, is like egg whites, just liquid egg whites. Okay, we got a problem here, though. What? Surf Miggity's vegan. Vegan. So what are you giving him? No. What are you giving him? Okay, bro. Tofu. Eat a shit ton of that shit. I mean,
tempeh is 20 grams per serving.
Yeah, a lot of vegan, right? You said a lot of vegans really do struggle with their protein intake. So a lot of, I mean, I don't think there's any problem with supplementation either. If you are having a hard time getting your protein intake, just go get a vegan protein supplement and drink some calories.
There's tons of bodybuilders who are vegan who Kendrick Ferris won a gold medal in the Olympics, at mad world records as a vegan.
It's not a restriction. It's just you have to figure out the way to make the best out of it.
I'm sure if you went vegan tomorrow, you'd find the highest protein sources and make it good for you. Exactly. You know?
Can you not do whey protein because it's a milk-based protein?
No, I use a plant protein in this smoothie here that I'm drinking right now.
They taste like ass.
Really good. Orgain.
What is it extracted from?
It's pea protein.
From peas?
Yeah, peas are pretty high in protein.
Yeah, you piss in it and then just put it in your shake. Mikey
Bonkers!
The bomb.
So, this is a question. This might be a myth, but debunk it for me, Mikey Bonkers. Can you eat too much after a certain point? Eating too much protein with a meal, does your body just flush it out? Like it's not effective anymore. I heard if like you eat over like 65, 70 grams, dude, you're just gonna like take a dookie and like.
Yeah, exactly. After like, that's why I say the 40 to 60 gram range, and that's actually gonna vary a little bit depending on the person. Some people can absorb a little more, some people maybe a little less. But if you're eating more than like 65 grams of protein in an hour, your body can't absorb all that, so it'll just excrete it. Plop.
65 G's an hour. So
I mean, that's like. Some people maybe would get it with a little bit more, but I'd definitely talk myself out of that.
Well, there's definitely more than, if you have a loaded Chipotle bowl, there's definitely more than 65 grams of protein in that, right?
I mean, you'll absorb the max. That just means you'll get the maximum amount of protein you need. You'll just excrete the rest.
Oh, okay.
It's not like you don't get the protein. You just can't handle more of it.
So you're saying if you eat over 65 grams of protein, you're going to take a dookie?
Yeah, that one.
That's like kind of mind-blowing science to me. What do you think about that, Mickey?
Yeah, you might be a little constipated if we're going to get real, I would imagine, if you're having that much protein.
Not if you're eating fibrous veggies, right?
True. That's why you always have to keep the veggies in play.
All right, so the Mikey Bonkers base lean bulk meal. You got the 2 cups of white rice, you got the veggie, and then the lean source of meat.
Mm-hmm. That's just a very, very boring but very good example of a bulking.
But it will
meal.
work.
Yeah, it will work.
How could you switch it up if you want to have some fun? Know what I'm saying? You're this corporate dude. You're this corporate hustler. You're trying to build your business. But it's like Thursday night. You're going out with people to a restaurant. What can you eat?
I mean, that's when
Mike is a little more lenient with the diet.
Yeah, this really comes down to, we're going to probably differ on this topic, because for me, this is why I do the numbers versus the food. If I go out, I'm going to eat what the fuck I want to eat and fit it into my diet plan, meaning I'm going to make sure it's going to be able to fit into the caloric and macro structure I have. And that's why I have to plan ahead. If I don't plan ahead, I'm screwed. Like, it's going to be very hard to, it's not necessarily hard when you don't plan ahead to meet the calorie goal, but it is very hard with the macro goal. So unless I normally plan ahead, but if I don't, then I kind of just tailor it to my calories and allow myself the freedom.
All right, so now we're going to get into fine tune work, right? That macro split, boy.
Mm-hmm.
Can you explain it? And
what does that mean for a beginner? Because I'm not even sure myself.
Macronutrients are proteins, carbs, and fats. And then you eat a percentage of those a day, and the amount of grams is what you multiply into your total calories.
So you need to eat a certain amount of carbs, grams of protein, and grams of fat in order to bulk.
Yeah.
And then after you get your macros done, you'll have room to move around however you want. But if you're starting with protein, you would normally start with like your body weight in grams on a bulk or more.
I mean, roughly, the average equation basically is like 1 to 1.5 grams per body weight for
Pound
your
of
protein.
body weight,
Yeah, something like that. And I mean, if you're on the very athletic side, working out a ton, I'd recommend really maximize that and go up to 1.5. But I actually don't normally do it that way. I just go off the percentages. So I'll do my total calories first. I'll get the total calories, and then I'll do my protein percentage, and which is normally, if I'm really focusing on maximizing my protein intake, it'll be 40 to 45%, which is very high. And
that's like very high for reference.
Yeah, but when it's in a bulking caloric surplus, I'll probably stay more on the 40% side and do like 35% carb. Honestly, it might even be 35% protein, 40% carb. Really depends on exactly what week I'm in on my cycling methods. But then I normally just remain the rest with my fat. So I'll put the fat as the remaining percentage, and then I'll take that into grams. But MyFitnessPal puts it into grams for you, so you don't have to think about that.
So, Mike.
Sorry,
Mike. So what he's saying is like, listen, let's say you're 200 pounds, right? You burn 3,000 calories a day, right? 40% of those 3,000 calories, this is if you're eating at maintenance.
Mm-hmm.
So let's actually say you're 175 pounds. You're eating for 3,000. At maintenance, I mean, 40% of the 3,000 has to come from protein. Does that make sense?
It makes sense.
What's the math on that?
40%
of 3,000. It's like 1,200. So you need 1,200 calories from protein. Then you have your carbs, which would be like the white rice. And carbs tend to have more calories in them, right?
Carbs and proteins are the same caloric base. Fats are
higher.
carbs Carbs and protein is 4 grams. Hold on.
4 calories per gram.
and
fat
four
is
cal-
9
Yeah.
calories per gram.
So carbs and protein 4 calories per gram, and then fats 9 calories per gram.
That's why it's important to like limit the fat that you eat, because we really wear the fat that we eat. So it's so caloric. So when you're adding oils, you're adding, especially if you're like gonna have a very fatty piece of steak, like you're gonna wear that. So,
Do we know that for facts?
I mean, look around at our country. I think it's
Well, but you need fats.
no. I'm not saying you don't need fats. I'm just saying
The problem is too many, I will say Americans, because that's definitely the worst population of it. Too many people eat too much saturated fat versus healthy fats.
Okay, elaborate on the difference. We're coming through with the science value today. Let's go, Mike.
Saturated fats.
Is this how you would want to run a podcast?
This is exactly what I want to release from.
Go ahead.
So yeah, like you want to have more poly and monounsaturated fats, which is what Mike was saying comes from oils. And
But drop the science term. What are those? Is that avocados, eggs?
avocados, like oils, like
oils,
yeah,
seeds,
this
nuts. You find them in nuts.
yeah, nuts.
Brazil nuts?
Love them.
Pause.
But yeah, that's exactly. I mean, the more you can clean up, that's why a lot of people have a hard time maximizing protein intake while also not getting too much fat, but having the right amount. Meaning you have to buy lean meats and then do your own type of oils and things like that if you're really focusing on the fine-tuned details of your macros.
Okay, so here's a question. So I've been doing massive meal preps, right? And I prepare like 4 days of meals at a time normally. And what I've been doing, because the grill I use is broken, I've been sauteing in olive oil, right? Do you count the olive oil that's absorbed into the chicken into your total calorie count?
Yes.
You do.
Mm-hmm. If you're being, I mean, depending on exactly how you're cooking
How do you
it,
judge that?
like you take an actual measuring cup of how much oil. And
yeah, so let's say I get like 6 teaspoons per like thing of chicken. Sorry, Mike. I eat chicken. My bad, bro.
No, you're good. Keep at it.
But let's say I do like 6 teaspoons, right? And then it's like 12 pieces of chicken. So I'll say for every 2 pieces of chicken, it's 1 teaspoon of olive oil. Something like that, correct?
To my knowledge, at this point in time, it would be, you would take into account all of the tablespoons, teaspoons that you put into the actual making behind the meat. And then if you're making a total abundance, what I would do is take the total calories, divide them based on how many you're having, like how many serving sizes you make, and then you would divide or just figure out the math of how much was put into the total for the olive oil, and then divide like that by each serving amount.
Yeah. So exactly. So if I have 12 pieces of chicken and I do 6 teaspoons of olive oil, I should add in every 2 pieces of chicken, it's 1 teaspoon of olive oil.
Yeah, like I don't math off the top of my head.
That's a bitch.
Oh yeah,
You're eating it, so.
So I know, but it doesn't burn off in the process. Some of the calories burn off, or
to be honest, I don't know too much about that right now. To my understanding, from what people tell me who really religiously do this, like I use meal prep through Hard Body Meals, so I'm not really the one cooking it. But from my understanding, it's like Mike just said, you're still eating that, you're still consuming that amount, so it doesn't like evaporate. You know what I mean?
They must wear off.
Some
a
will
little
burn
bit, right?
off for sure, but I would say the majority is going to be absorbed.
It's like the same thing. Like if you have a little bit of ketchup you're dipping your thing into, that is calories. Like you can't just neglect it. Maybe it's not exact, but like we kind of doing our best, you know?
Well, I think one thing I learned, I forget the YouTuber I was watching. Who's like the crazy bodybuilder who does the most insane meal preps for himself? Like the nutso one.
Jay Cutler.
No, not Jay Cutler. He might be he's Olympia. This guy's Olympia something. But his meal preps are insane. And he said, listen, you'll buy 8 ounces of chicken, but that's before it's cooked.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you cook it, the 8 ounces actually turns into like 6.5.
Oh yeah, you have to measure after you already do things. Yeah.
And so how would you do that, with a scale?
Yeah, a gram scale, just anything you can do to weigh your actual meat.
Okay, so let's wrap it all back up. So you're a corporate dude, you're a corporate hustler. You might even be a lady. I'm sure it's gonna fluctuate a little bit, and you want to bulk up this fall. Give me the 2-minute plan. Go. Simplify it.
Caloric surplus. Eat above your calorie maintenance. maximize your protein intake, maximize your carb intake, let the fats be the remainder. So that's going to be your macros, at least 40% protein, and then fill in the rest, keep your carbs high. And then, like I said, fats be the remainders. Those are the numbers. And then for like a training program, you definitely need to be focusing on a program that's going to be gaining you mass. I like to recommend power building. So that's a combination of strength movements where you're focusing on strength, the power lifting, and then the bodybuilding. So you're focusing in the hypertrophy range to really maximize the fibers that are needed to actually grow for the muscle mass. So that's kind of the process behind
Focus on getting stronger.
Mass. Focus on building. You have to focus on gaining. And then at the same time, like we said, don't take into account the calorie expenditure. You need to make sure you're eating enough. And I think that's the biggest thing that people can't do when it comes to bulking. They think it comes down to training harder, lifting more weight, and it really comes down to eating more. And then when we're talking about minimizing the fat gain, you take into account the numbers so you do that caloric cycling method. Like I like to recommend, I told Connor this, to change your calories in like a 6-week process. You do like 100 calories more each week, and that's a method you could do for a caloric cycling method for your calories to gain mass. And then everything else kind of just falls into play. Oh, also I want to make a point, don't stop doing cardio. Limit your cardio, but don't neglect your cardio. It's so important for your cardiovascular health, and you want to make sure that you're still burning calories. You want to make sure you still have a fast metabolism. So you have to be actually doing your cardio to make sure that's going to help you significantly minimize your fat gain. And a cardio style I'd recommend is high intensity interval training. You do not want to be doing long cardio. You're not trying to waste any muscle mass. You're just focusing on the fat loss aspect and really ramping up that heart rate to burn some extra fat.
You got a plan now. You got to find that plant-based protein.
Amen.
But that actually helps a lot about the energy expenditure, because I've been wondering that. So listen, we're going to transition, because Big Mikey Bonkers over here is turning into a CEO. I love what I'm seeing, man.
Thanks, dude.
You're a great guy. But you've taken a total business shift last 4 or 5 months, you'd say?
Absolutely huge.
Why did you... Is it something you always wanted to do, was to grow a business, or why most recently have you decided to put in so much effort to grow it?
After I graduated college and my old partner and I split ways with Anabolic Aliens, I really made the decision, like, this is what I love, this is what I want to do, and it's time to scale the fuck out of it. I have all this value, I have all this experience, and I have a lot of direction. I have so many goals. It's time to maximize it, and I got to that point where I use the word influencer lightly. Like, I was building my social medias and building a follower base, and I could help promote products, but the influencer life was not necessarily one of my own. I was dependent on other companies, and I really made a switch to work on myself, my business, and make it something that I can start having people promote things for me. I have my own products. I have full control over my financial stability and the potential to make a shit ton more than basically working for another company. Now, that's why I've kind of transitioned to saying sponsors. I say partners, because we're working together to help each other grow, and they help me advance, I help them advance. So it's a partnership rather than an influencer type deal. And so I've got to that point where I couldn't do all I wanted to do anymore by myself. I got my medias, my business, like everything got to a point where it scaled up to the point I couldn't handle all of the work by myself, or I'd literally go insane and never sleep a second, and there'd still be more work to do. So I was like, I can either
Mike also still edits his videos, which is insane to me.
So I'm like, I can either stay at the point I am, which is going very well. I mean, I make a great living. I'm doing very well financially with what I'm doing, but I want to build a team because I want to reach way more people and make way more of an impact and fucking make my place in history, honestly. So like the team is helping me expand more and having the time to be able to do more.
So at what point, so you realize, okay, I'm kind of reaching critical mass with all of my own efforts. What was it specifically where you were like, okay, I kind of got to start reaching out to other people to see if they can help me with my vision?
So like I said, I'm doing 1,000 different things right now. Like, fuck. So
Mike just got back from the Olympia in Vegas. Whoa. This dude was getting loose.
But real talk, like I'm doing 1,000 different things right now. I have my website. I have all my social media platforms. I have my app, and then I have all my partnership responsibilities, and then I travel, I do public speaking events now. I'm doing all these different things. I'm starting to get into acting and stuff. Like, that's enough, and that's way too much to balance on my own already, but I was doing it. And honestly, one of the biggest things that I find value in what I do is being able to actually answer people, help people, and form new relationships that can not just help myself advance, but help other people grow as well. So all that I was doing was incredible, and I'm very lucky to have so many opportunities, but the advancement that I want personally and business-wise would be limited if I didn't have people helping me stabilize and give me the room and time to grow.
Well, I was going to say, do you think you're just shooting down too many arrows here? Like, if you were just to focus on one or two things, you could...
No. I've came to a point where I work on systems. So I build a system that's sustainable, and that's one that has a lot of room for growth. All the employees that I'm getting on right now, I'm in a stage where everything is so new, and it's the first time I've ever had employees. I'm setting them up in positions where it's a little sporadic right now, but in 6 months, they're going to be able to have full-time jobs with Anabolic Aliens if they want it. Like, I want them to be set into a position where they're going to be able to build teams under them. So the growth opportunity right now that I'm setting up is insane. And that's why I'm so appreciative that they're kind of bearing with me during the development stages, because not everything's set up, but I have all the intentions of literally the positions they're in of having full teams per social media platform, per business module that I'm running. There's multiple systems that are in place now that are able to grow.
You're creating upward mobility.
Exactly. And that's the thing though. I was saying, like, it got to that point, and the main point was I'm 8 weeks behind, literally 2 fucking months. I haven't been able to answer Instagram DMs. Now, to the normal person, a lot of people don't even check them. A lot of people don't give a fuck. They don't even pay any attention. I would not get response from so many different types of people on social media platforms. It's just how it is. But to me, actually seeing them, getting not just topic ideas and ideas to be able to actually make content for myself, I'm able to see problems. And if you can problem solve and use your own stories and experiences to help solve those problems, you're not just building a brand, but you're building a module that will just consistently grow. So that's why I always find value in answering my YouTube comments, answering my DMs. And even though I'm wicked behind, I'm going to go through 8 weeks of freaking DMs to make...
This is stressing you out, huh?
It's not. It's something that is a priority of mine, but it still hasn't happened yet because there's so many other priorities. And now as the employees getting set and everything is in that balanced system and able to function without me necessarily having to pay 100% attention on it, I'm going to be able to do it. And I am going to do it because I get the feedback and I'm able to grow off that feedback. And as I grow off that feedback, I'm able to provide more value. So it all really does come into play. And I think that's one of the biggest things that people actually neglect as a business, not hearing their audience, because you're doing it to provide value. The more value you provide, the more not just financial benefit you'll have, the more you'll be able to grow as a company.
Whoa. Are you ever worried people are going to think you're totally nuts?
That's too late.
Well, I mean, we're both wildly passionate, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so sometimes when I get like really in my zone, it's hard to express it to someone how passionately you feel about something. So sometimes when you get ramped up, you seem like a lunatic.
Absolutely.
So I've been trying to figure that out with myself. Like, how do I still see through someone else's eyes that I'm working with and understand they're not necessarily going to care as much about this brand as I am. It's gonna be a learning curve.
See, I'm not saying I'm disagreeing, but I feel like I already have...
Talk shit to me, man.
Let's hear it. But I feel like I already have an idea of how to handle that. And maybe Mike can actually attest to this right now, but like I said, a lot of systems for employees, like I'm working on developing a timesheet. I don't even have a time system yet for logging their hours. I'm kind of going off a trust system. Like they're telling me when they're working, what they're doing, and then I'm just going to pay them out for now. And I will have a timesheet set up before the next pay structure. But like that's not really like a good business module. Like I didn't set that up yet, and I don't regret it. It's just like I wish I was a little more prepared in that sense, but I wouldn't have probably gotten employees if I wasn't able to have a little bit of freedom. And that's why I met all of these guys who are in college right now, who are part-time.
How did you meet them?
Connor, thank you for the connection. But basically what I'm trying to do is be myself. Like, I know how I work. I know what's going to be able to be functional for me, and I can't change how I do things right now. I'd rather be able to develop a system and be my happy-go-lucky weird self, go to a meeting, like hit my dab pen and go talk to my boy. Like, I call them my boys. Like, I talk to them like they're friends. I don't talk to them like they're employees. And I give them incentives. I have percentage basis. We can make more money on top of the hourly wage they're already getting. And I tell them all this opportunity they have for growth. And I'm constantly asking them like how I can help improve the process, because I'm so new to it and I expect to fuck it up. I expect to be wrong, and I want to be wrong in the sense that I can get better, because there's no way I'm going to be perfect first off the bat. So I appreciate these guys for like helping me find what's wrong and be able to be better.
All good.
All set.
Surf Miggity. Dealing with issues. So Mike came quite clearly. These caffeine pills are hitting right now. Are you feeling them?
Dude.
Can we get some?
Never enough caffeine.
Can we get some Anabolic Alien sponsored caffeine pills?
Yeah, I already have them, bro. Well, not Anabolic Aliens, Prosis.
Oh, Prosis does caffeine pills?
Hell yeah.
That's actually a great segue. So let's say you're early on in the influencer process, right? I've been reached out to by a couple brands, right?
Mm-hmm.
Not as an influencer, but as a podcast with a little bit of leverage in the city. How, from start to finish, do sponsorships work? Did the sponsor reach out to you? So did Prosis reach out to you and said, hey, Mike, we love your content. Let's do this. Or did you say, hey, I'm already trying Prosis, right? Is there anything we can do together? Then can you explain how the money works? You pitch them, hey, I'll be an ambassador for you for X amount of dollars, or they send that to you?
There's different stages to this. In the beginning, you have to think about your financial standpoint and what you value as well. In the beginning, this is actually probably one of the biggest mistakes I made, and was taking deals that I didn't give a fuck about to take some compensation to help me proceed.
Give us an example.
Like a headphone company would send me a pair of headphones and pay me $250 to put it into a video. And like in the first 2 years when Anabolic Aliens didn't really have substantial growth or a big following base, it was like I could use that $250, but like no, I could use that $250 no matter if I really like those headphones. Like it's basically an advertisement. I mean, I need the money to help do shit. So
that's what I'm saying. It's tough, especially if like you have no bread coming in because you were scraping through it for 2 years, right?
But that's why I say it's the stages, because if you need the money, take the deal. Like business wise, obviously fucking do it. But you want to make sure if you are doing that, you don't lose any value or come off as untrustworthy.
I was going to say, shouldn't you be thinking long term?
You should be thinking long term, but I'm saying if you need that money, it's not, why wouldn't you take advantage of the money they're offering? I'm talking like in the smaller sense, like taking brand deals in the beginning 2 years of your business when you're really trying to grow is not going to decide what type of business you are. It's how you utilize that brand promotion. So if you talk about your experience, like, listen, this company's paying me giving me headphones and paying me to do a review. If you're genuine about how you promote it, then you can't just be like, these are the best headphones in the world and you've never tried them on.
Yeah, but would you go up to the aliens and be like, hey, aliens, I know these headphones are shitty as hell, but they're cutting me a check, so don't worry about it, bro.
That's different. I mean, you negotiate. You shouldn't take a product that you've never tried before. Like,
so
that's
you had
ridiculous.
Headphones in the beginning that you had tested out that were
There's been a couple different experiences, but I'm just saying like
what specifically?
Like shaker bottles, weight scales, and just little things like that. Headphones, yeah. But I'm saying like in the beginning, you may take some more deals that you wouldn't necessarily take down the road as you're more established. But how you take those deals is very important. And this is where I think I messed up. Meaning now it's easy for me to say, like, be as genuine as possible. And that's why it's easy for me to talk about shit now, because everything I do, like, I'd do if I wasn't with that partner in the first place. And that's how I look at sponsorships. But in the beginning, I was like, fuck yeah, give me that money. I need to use it and put it back into the business.
Well, that's what I'm saying. We luckily have created a small community of influencers in the city, and a lot of them are just getting started on monetizing their brand. So what would you say?
Yes, and I'm saying for them at that point in time, if you take it genuinely and don't ever promote a product that you never actually tried, like, that's ridiculous. I've never done that, and I think if you do that, then you're just being kind of a scum because you have no idea about what you're actually promoting. When I say you can take deals that you wouldn't necessarily take down the road because of the financial standpoint you're at, what I mean is you're not going to be promoting a shitty product, but you may be a little more strict down the road when you are more established. But at this point in time, that $250 could be used to your advantage. So as long as you're genuine about why you're taking that deal, then it completely changes the game as to what exactly the purpose of that promotion is. It becomes much more of an advertisement. That's why I said in the beginning, I've always said sponsorship versus partnership. It's a sponsored post. You're getting paid to post it as an advertisement versus something where you reach out to a company and be like, yo, I fuck with your product. Let me promote it. And that's when you form partnerships. And that's what I do nowadays. But in the beginning, I always was doing sponsorships because I needed that money. If I got an extra $1,000 in sponsored posts a month, that would significantly help me be able to advance my business. But as I start making more money and my business becomes more established, I could be like, I don't need $250. You can really start valuing yourself more. And I think, honestly, the biggest mistake, I made in the beginning was not necessarily sacrificing genuineness. I always have been genuine with what I do, but I don't think I did a good job embracing the fact that I was taking the money for a financial benefit to help advance my business versus this is the best product I've ever had. And now I make sure it's a brand I'd actually want to partner with. Oh, you would
go sales mode with a product back then, being, dude, this product's awesome.
Yeah, because like that extra $1,000.
But you also didn't know.
Exactly, you learn. But like back then, I still would recommend it to people. I just think I would. If I were to go back, I probably would still have taken the same type of deals, but I wish I made it more clear that it was an advertisement rather than coming off as like, this is my favorite thing in the world. Because now I'm like, yo, I actually love the products I work with, and I may have in the past sacrificed a little bit of trust in that sense, but I think I've worked really hard in the last 2 years rebuilding that because I've just completely reestablished my mindset and how I promote to my audience.
So that's actually a great point because, hey, why would we run a podcast like this specifically? Like, dude, this podcast is totally just like structured, not really an interview, because I want to start creating content specifically that you can literally just watch and people can just get their answers from, because that's what it comes down to with the podcast. Are you learning? So that's what's going on in this brain. Surf Miggity.
I mean, your brain is a fascinating place, Connor, I have to say.
Sicko.
I feel a little sick. Also, Mike, you did a great job on the podcast, bro.
I appreciate it.
I loved your episode. It was awesome.
It was fun.
You talked about veganism extremely profoundly. A lot of people texted me. So what I'll get a lot of people texting me saying they listened, and a lot of people said, hey man, Mike kind of wanted to make me try out veganism for a little bit.
I got a ton of friends who hit me up and were like, send me videos, and of course I have all the resources people need, so it was fun for me.
What was the doctor's name again?
Dr. Caldwell Esselstyn.
Yes.
The father of veganism.
Sounds professional.
Yeah.
The father of veganism was a dinosaur, bro. It was
True.
It was that Apatosaurus.
Apatosaurus.
Yes, sir.
Audiobook.
So, all right, I want you to talk about the Prosus deal because that's a big deal for you, right?
It's my new supplement sponsor.
Sales mode. Yes, but what I'm saying is that's a big deal for you to partner with them. Or
Yeah,
is this a partner or a sponsor?
Sponsor.
It's a sponsor. It's a sponsor.
It's a partnership.
Okay. So you reach out to them or they reach out to you?
So I'm going to reverse that question and talk about exactly the difference with this experience and why I'm with them. Meaning they reached out to me.
Okay.
Now, the reason I'm partnering with them is I want you to think about it from a business perspective as well as a personal perspective. Business-wise, where am I spending money? Supplements. Like I'm spending hundreds of dollars a month on supplements. So it's already it's already money coming out of my wallet.
You got those supplements pumping through your veins. Yes, sir.
So how do I not pay for something I'm already using? Partner with a supplement brand. So when they reached out to me, obviously I researched their stuff. I tried out their product before.
But you were not using it prior.
I was not using Prosus prior, no. But like I tried the products, they work great, and to me it becomes much more of a growth opportunity personally and business wise. Like this partnership deal is not only going to eliminate an expense for me, it's going to provide me the ability to help me grow better in fitness. It's providing me all the supplements I need, and I'm going to be able to help grow that company as well because I'm promoting products that I'm using on a daily basis.
Do you ever value or examine a company, their brand, and their trajectory beforehand? Like, Prosus seems like they could kind of create a space for themselves in the supplements market.
So absolutely. And like I said, the value I can now be very strict on with partnership deals at this point in time with Anabolic Aliens, I take into account every single action and opportunity. And it's not like these deals are made in a week. don't think partnership deals are made in a month. Like, it's back and forth emails, constantly trying products, working out negotiations, figuring out how you can benefit both parties.
See if you like the people too.
Yeah, like you have to vibe with not just the product but the company. And because you're going to be in constant communication, you're going to be doing monthly responsibilities, and you want to be able to literally help each other grow. So you're not just promoting a product, you're promoting a brand, and a brand that you can help believe in, because if you believe in them, it'll help support your brand as well. It all works together. And yeah, so that's kind of how
Okay, so pros is, so they reach out to you, right? They said, Anabolic Aliens, Mike, Rosa, we love your content, dude. We also love the fact that you got like almost 600,000 subscribers on YouTube, and we love your app, blah, blah, blah. Okay, we're going to send you some product, right?
Yep.
They send you some product. You try out some whey protein, whatever they got for pre-workout, the caffeine pills, right? They say, I actually do kind of like this product. Let me try some more.
Yep.
Then you said, hey, I'd be interested in partnering with you guys. You said something like that, right?
No, I mean, I said that from off the bat. Like, a supplement company reached out to me. I was looking for a supplement sponsor. It worked out perfectly.
And then they say, okay, well, this is what we're thinking for money, man. You don't have to disclose any of the numbers. They say that, or you pitch that to them?
It depends on where you are in negotiations and stuff. I try to always make the company pitch a number first, and then I upscale it, and then we try to work out a middle.
You say, that is so disrespectful. Do you know who I am?
No, absolutely not. But what you do is leverage your audiences, and that's why the social media platforms are so important, because you show what impact you can make before you even start promoting a product. So that's why the both party mutually beneficial aspect is so important. You use your leverage, and then kind of see what you can negotiate, then you decide if it's worth it or not. And they presented me with an opportunity that was financially very beneficial, and they also took away that expense that I was talking about, so it was like a double whammy.
And then when do you take into account, okay, I'm going to be marketing to the aliens worldwide, right?
Yep.
When do you take into account, okay, this product might benefit me, but it might not benefit my audience? Do you ever think about that?
Nope, because I make sure to cover that ground with process. One of the first things I look up is, are they actually a reputable company? So,
and do they ship globally? Do you ever think about that?
So Prozis is a European-based company, and they do ship globally. That, of course, is one of the main things I look up, since my audience is so internationally based. But so Prozis, I look up if they ship globally, but I look up more so if they're already established. They have a huge following on social media, so I already know they're respected, they're valued, and they have some kind of grounds within the supplementation community. So they already have a successful company. I make sure nowadays, before in the beginning, I worked with some more smaller based companies that were more growing at that point too. Now I try to make sure that each company I work with already has a consistent system for themselves, so there's some sustainability and a long-term partnership that can be established. And that's what I saw with Prozis. They offered me actually a 6-month contract, and everything, we worked out terms.
I like that brand.
Awesome.
It's really clean.
Yeah, well, actually, it's funny because they reached out to me for supplementation. Obviously, that's what I promote, the main supplement aspect. But when I was looking on their website, they have so much variety, and the Anabolic Aliens brand is always preaching variety. That's one of the main things I preach. And they don't just have supplements; they have food, they have clothing, they have literally electronics on their website. So it's fuck, I can get all this shit for having a supplement sponsor. Hell yeah! Then I can promote even more stuff. It honestly is the best case scenario.
Mike, questions? Good?
No, that's dope. I was just going to say that, I think what makes your brand so valuable as well, Mike, is that you have people who are just learning, the fundamentals of weightlifting, to people who are, going to be full on, just like you, bodybuilding themselves. So I think the fact that you could partner with a company that's providing that variety for people who may want to try caffeine pills, or people who want to supplement and bulk up is huge.
I think after seeing his energy today, you should try to do a little
Honestly,
caffeine pills.
I'm a little low energy right now.
But real talk, like you just said, the website, it's not just sports nutrition. They have mental health products. They have stress relief products. It's all wellness. So I don't care if you're a powerlifter. I don't care if you're a bodybuilder. I don't care if you're working out 3 days a week just to stay in shape. They have a product that can help benefit your life quality.
Yeah, it's about overall health, which is awesome.
Exactly.
Okay, I got 3 more really great questions I think are going to be cut up great for some content.
Whoa.
You ready?
Let's do it.
Who's ready?
I'm ready.
So, go ahead, take a sip of water. Well, get ready. So, you were kind of just explaining it, and right at the start, you explained, okay, dude, for the longest time, I was reaching out to all these companies, and my checks were dependent on other companies and other people. And at a certain point, you said, okay, I'm going to use YouTube, Instagram, and some of my other social platforms as marketing tools to drive business to both my website and Exerprise. Can you explain the importance of that for influencers?
You cannot live off sponsorships. They're too inconsistent. There's no stability, financial stability. Like, will go crazy if you try to make your brand off sponsorships. You can only go so far, and it really limits your room for growth, because if you're focusing on just promoting other products, you can't focus on building your own. So that's one of the biggest mistakes people make when they first start off as influencer. And that's why I use the term influencer, because that's an influencer. You're promoting other products based off your following, versus a business where you have your own products and you have partnerships where there's partnerships where partnerships where they're giving you products to help provide your like life quality and advance you personally, which also helps advance your business, and they all play together financially and blah, blah, blah. But that's all secondary, meaning you need to have your own products and able to actually make a solid income off what you're doing on social media. Meaning that's why it's so important to have like actual passion and love what you're doing, because you need to be able to focus on building your own brand. And that's the biggest difference between an influencer versus a business. If you don't have products to sell, apparel is not just a product unless you have a clothing brand. If you make a piece of clothing and sell it, cool, that's fucking awesome. Like, hopefully maybe you can make a couple $1,000, maybe you make over 50 grand on it, but that you're going to have to keep doing more clothing to keep making more money. And that's when it turns into a clothing line, which is a business, versus a one-time thing. That's not a business module. That's not sustainable. You're going to have to keep doing new shit, and that's when it turns into a system. But I'm talking about like sponsorships. Those are one-time actions unless they throw them into actual like long-term partnerships where they're paying you on a monthly contract. So that's kind of where it comes down to. You use your social media platforms as marketing to actually promote your own products, and you have full control over that, and you're able to grow your own brand. So as you keep organically growing your social medias, you are constantly, consistently promoting what your products are, what you're continually selling, which increases not only your personal value as a brand in your business, but then you have partners and you're doing all this different stuff. And just this, if you're a successful business, you have multiple forms of revenue coming in.
How are we going to fit that in a 1-minute clip? There's no way. But nonetheless, listen real quick, Mike. The one thing I really like about why you do that is I had asked you, I was like, dude, what if one day Instagram or Facebook or YouTube just goes down?
It could happen any day, honestly. You have to plan for that. If you imagine influencers who are solely based off sponsorships and all of a sudden their social media following is gone, you are fucked.
I know. Was there a point where you had a realization? You're like, dude, if YouTube's gone, I'm done for.
Honestly, I'm going to give credit to Scott Herman. When I first met him, one of the main things he said was that exactly, YouTube could die tomorrow. So ever since he gave me that advice, I've taken that extremely seriously and have effectively put into efforts to build my own business since that point on. And that was before the Anabolic Aliens blew up, so I was able to put systems in before.
And how many downloads does Exerprise have now?
Over 150,000 active users.
We never even talk about that. That's crazy. The app's great, dude.
Thanks, bro.
And it's just growing.
Dude, it's growing organically more and more every day, which is insane.
Well, because you're providing real value. You're making working out easier and more transparent for people, and just giving people steps. Like, okay, some people go to the gym, they got no idea what they're doing. You're literally saying, dude, pull up this on your phone, and you can just step through this.
Well, one of the biggest differences, too, between my brand and I think a lot of other brands is a lot of brands, their business module is they have to keep making new products. Meaning they keep coming out with a new ebook, they keep coming out with a new program, and that's awesome. And obviously, can be a very successful business module. But the way I look at Exerprise, I could completely stop doing work on it, and it's still a great product. It's still going to organically grow. It's not like I need to keep making new stuff for it.
That's what Jerry Pilata said too, the author. He
Yeah.
was like, just focus on the product.
Yeah,
just
but
make a great product.
Yeah, so the product is fucking awesome. But now I'm like, I'm going to make it better. So every time I do new features, I'm thinking I'm going to scale the fuck out of this thing, because if I did nothing, it's still awesome. If I keep doing more, it will be fucking history making.
I actually learned that from you, and it was very important to me. You were like, dude, you got to focus on whatever you're doing, making it as good as you can make it. I know it sounds really self-explanatory, but then I was like, okay, I have to honestly, I understand long term, I'm not going to be a podcast host my entire life, but I got to focus on making this podcast like incredible on every single asset.
See, I actually slightly disagree with that, because I think when you have your whole business being very successful 5 years down the road, you still want to do the podcast.
No, yeah, but I'm not going to be a podcast host when I'm 50
Why?
because I don't want to be. I want to be.
Well, if you don't
something
want to
else.
be, that's completely different. But if you liked it, enjoyed it, there's no reason you shouldn't be.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm not saying I'm tapping out of the business whatsoever. I'm saying I want to use this as a point to evolve and blow up.
Yeah.
You're a great guy. Don't you ever try to test me again. I'll kill you. Okay, listen. Oh, I just got to pull up the notes. All right, well, you got to try to consolidate this answer into a minute because we got to make an
I'll talk
Instagram
really
clip.
fast.
Sammy Sutherland, if you are listening, you can use that other stuff for a clip. That stuff we just did. That's the editor. Okay. Okay. Yep. Let's real quick. So you've rebranded a couple times. You're not just that home workout guy anymore. So Mike, initially, if I'm right, you were known for the big home workouts. You still are. They still get tons of views.
It's my most popular segment.
8-minute abs at home, whatever. But at a certain point, you've transitioned into Anabolic Aliens, the app developer / entrepreneur. That's kind of in the space you are right now, right?
Yeah.
How important is that for influencers to constantly reinvigorate their brands? Go.
I wouldn't say necessarily reinvigorate. What I mean is once you establish your brand, you keep on working on building your brand as a business. But it's very important that you keep being successful with your social media platforms and growing an audience because like we were talking about, it's your marketing platform. So as you keep building your personal brand and audience, you can keep building your business. And as you expand as a business, that's why the micro content, all of that content you're producing, the free content is so valuable to actually make content that's going to be bought and purchased because they trust you, they respect you, and you're able to actually leverage that audience to make a whole successful business that's able to grow and grow. So as long as you have the ideas behind a business, you're unstoppable.
Boom.
A+.
Smash.
Was that good? I don't even remember what the question was.
That was
I don't even remember what you said. Okay, cool. So, one more question. The Boston influencer scene, right?
Yep.
It's a Boston-based show. Huh. Young Matt Damon.
Boston Bochy.
Whoa.
That's the new one.
I like that. Zaken Bridge Bochy. So listen, Boston there are people who are newly growing their followings. Can you give a quick breakdown on what you would do if you were restarting the Anabolic Aliens brand, what you would do differently? Like some of the early mistakes you made.
Lose the fucking ego, post and post and post, stop giving a fuck about what everyone else thinks. Provide value with your post. Don't just post a picture to have people look at you. Actually provide a message behind that so they can take it back with them and help benefit their own life. Because that's the whole point of following someone. They're offering you something that can help benefit them, whether it's comedy, whether it's education. No matter what it is, you need to provide value. So that's how you build a following. Stop thinking you're better than anyone. Use collaborations. Grow as a team. Like, you're never alone in social media, which is really cool. And if you think you are, you're limited.
Wise words from Mikey. Cool, that's cool for our clip. Quick question though, as we're wrapping up here. How important has ego been for you though? Because we both have pretty decent sized egos, honestly. There's no way we can deny this.
I don't really think ego is the right term. I think it's confidence versus cocky. And I think if you're able to actually...
That's not what ego is, dude.
Ego is confidence. I mean, there's a difference. There's multiple levels of ego.
For sure.
There's people who have a cocky ego. There's people who have a confident ego. And I think that's when it comes down to the genuinity behind what you're promoting.
I totally agree. But how do you navigate that fine line between, okay, I'm the big boss dog, right? I'm Big Mikey Bonkers. Yeah. I'm 24 and I'm making tons of bread and I've built this for myself. And I'm Mikey Bonkers and I'm on a mission and I have a motor. How do you navigate that? Because it's tough sometimes.
Just be my fucking self, dude. I mean, there's no other way to do it. That's why.
Do you understand what I'm asking, though?
Rephrase it.
Do you ever get caught in your own head?
No, not anymore. I think my biggest problem was negative comments never bothered me, but I would be constantly thinking about so many different things about what could go wrong that I didn't really I didn't really embrace what was going right and how I can make it better.
How important is proving people wrong to you?
I don't give a fuck about other people's opinions, dude. I don't care about proving them wrong. I just want to do my thing, and because if it works for me, it can work for someone else. So that's kind of the module I take into account now. Like, I don't even really, I'm not saying I don't follow anyone, but I'm not constantly checking other people's progress. I'm not really checking my competitors because I'm going to do it my way, and it's working right now. So, I mean, I'm going to do what's working.
I think one thing I've learned this year, which has been very, very important for me, is people don't care about your issues. It's the truth. They don't. And it's not even to sound messed up, but people don't care. Like, in my brain, I was like, okay, Mike's running 10 minutes late, but I didn't necessarily care that you were in the car. I didn't necessarily care that you were in the car and you had to drudge through traffic. Nobody really cares. But at a certain point when you realize that, it's like, oh my God, that's kind of dope, because like no one cares.
I mean,
do you understand what I'm saying? Does that make sense to you guys? Or
I think some people care.
Like, no, 100%. I care about you. You're a great guy.
If you said to me, I'm having some problems, I would give all my attention and say, Connor, like, let's talk about that.
Yeah, what the fuck? You don't care I was in traffic, bro? Fuck you.
Well, it's impossible for me to enter your brain and see what you're seeing.
True.
Well, if you said you were in traffic, I'd be like, all right. Fuck.
Would you be like, oh my God, no, please, Boch Bonnie, I feel so bad for you.
Well, I mean, I think it just comes down to like a respect thing. Not that she don't care, but like, it's not, why take the negative approach when you can just be like, all right, move on.
Exactly. I got to be honest. What I just said was brain dead.
It's fair though. I think
my point is, like, if you mess up, you're going to think the failure is a much bigger deal than anybody else does.
My late grandfather once said, you're born alone and you die alone. And it's sad, but I think it's true. And I think it sums up what you just said.
But you don't live alone.
No, you don't.
Ooh, I like the combination of those.
Whoa.
Yo, fuck, I'm tweeting that today.
Hey, listen, I had a great time. Surf Mike, you did a great job today. Did you have fun?
I had a great time. Thank you.
Dude, get the fucking work.
Yeah, me too.
With that being said, you did great. I think we came through with some hashtag value. It was much more guided than most podcasts.
I like what we did today.
You like structure.
Dude, this is exactly what I want to start putting on my channel. Exactly what we did today.
I know, but you were ripping off the caffeine pills, man. You were scaring me a little bit sometimes.
I'll take as much as I need. Mike Rosa, and that was my Diamond Hour.
Well executed, Mikey Bonkers.